You may be surprised to learn that cutting-edge medical innovation is happening right now in your own community. From coronavirus to cancer, America's innovation community is mobilized like never before. And joining us today to tell us the story of the private sector's role in bringing the science to life and bringing it into our people's lives, we have Senior Director of Health and Drug Policy at the U.S. Chamber's Global Innovation Policy Center, Kelly Anderson. Kelly, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks so much for having me on today.
Okay, so let's start with what type of medical innovation is happening right now in our communities?
Yeah, so I think folks may be surprised to learn that there's cutting-edge medical research taking place right now in their own backyard. My mom is an OR nurse, and even she was surprised to learn that there are clinical trials taking place at her own hospital. And, while our daily lives are still dominated by the global pandemic, the innovative scientific community is relentlessly pursuing research into the next generation of treatments and cures for a range of diseases like coronavirus variants to cancers to HIV/AIDS. In fact, right now, there are over 2,100 clinical trials happening in North Dakota. And so what that means is it's your neighbors and your local businesses that are really helping to advance the critical research that's needed to discover these new treatments for conditions where some might not exist.
Super interesting. How does this medical innovation support our local economy then?
Yes, I would say that's easy. It's all about the jobs. There in North Dakota, medical innovation directly employs hundreds of people. And while that innovation starts in the lab, it doesn't end there. Innovation also supports hundreds more jobs across the state in a range of sectors, from construction to transportation to manufacturing. So if you look at construction, for example, biotech construction projects support billions of dollars in infrastructure investments, and these projects employ building trades workers, so folks like plumbers or pipe fitters, for example. And these are good jobs with great benefits packages. And so that ultimately helps build healthier communities. And so that's really why the U.S. Chamber of Commerce is so dedicated to advancing local innovation, because it has such an impact on a local community.
Okay, and can you expand on how business and the government are teaming up to fight disease?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think what we saw during the global pandemic is that working together, we really can achieve more. These vaccines and treatments that were discovered over the last 18 months were developed at such an unprecedented speed because of the unprecedented levels of public-private sector collaboration. And we certainly saw that with the mRNA vaccines that were used for COVID-19. So I think what became clear was that everybody plays a role in bringing medicine to life. And while the government and universities may invest in initial research, the private sector kicks in its expertise when it comes to conducting clinical trials, manufacturing those medicines, and delivering them to patients who need them. So, as we look to address the next generation of medical challenges, whatever that might be, it's going to be really critical that these partnerships continue.
Okay, talking about partnerships, you said everyone kind of has a role. People are going to ask, what can be done to support our local innovators then? What could we do?
Yeah, so I think, America's innovative community has really tried to do its part to fight the global pandemic, but they can't do it alone. So we're really counting on local leaders to advance smart innovation policies. And that includes things like effective intellectual property protection and ensuring that businesses and individuals receive a fair value for their innovation. And nobody needs those protections more than the small and medium-sized innovators that comprise nearly 80% of the biopharmaceutical pipeline. So that's why the U.S. Chamber of Commerce is really hoping to work with policymakers to advance a pro-innovation agenda. Because I think with the right laws in place, we can ensure that the next generation of medical technology is invented in North Dakota, across the U.S., and then exported to the world.
Fascinating. Great conversation. If people want more information, they can go to uschamber.com. Thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate it.
Thanks so much for having me.
We'll be right back here on North Dakota Today.